Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card, we're going to the Orient, Oriental legends and myths and all of that kind of thing to look at what kind of hidden truths can be uncovered, what sort of fortune you can find, all of that kind of thing. So it was inspired by the fact that I just received a beautiful deck that is one half a Lenormand and one half additional cards done by the wonderful Ania Rogov, who I've actually got a variety of decks from over time. It's called the Oracle Mystic Sakura. Now, the thing about this oracle is that it was on Kickstarter, but it didn't fund. But then she put out a limited edition, and I was very keen to get a copy because, like all of her work, it's very beautiful. She does incredibly beautiful artwork in her decks. So I would just keep an eye out on anything she does if you are interested in this, because maybe she will at some point publish another version of it or another edition of it. But if not, it makes for a very beautiful deck to inspire this. So as I say, what I'm using is both halves of the deck, but I'm kind of separating them out for this. I mean, you can mix it all in together. But for the choice of pile, I'm using the part of the deck that's not the traditional Lenormand. So that picks up things like legends and gods and mythologies and practices and so forth of the Orient. And then we will use the Lenormand in the actual reading once you've gone to whatever pile you choose. And then I'm going to use a very beautiful tarot deck that came out from Moneo cards. I have a number of their decks. This is one that is based on kind of samurai type of background, just as some of this is, so that we get a kind of connection with that. But I'm going to have Chinese fortune cards. I'm going to look at Chinese astrology. We're going to cross a variety of the sorts of mythologies and practices of the Orient, as I say, just to see what we bring for you, what messages Spirit wants to bring in that kind of format for you. So don't need to probably say much more than that. The choice of pile, you can of course go to more than one if you want, but for pile number 1 we have Legends, Mengu, number 63 if the number is something that you go by. For pile number 2 we have a Yokai, Kitsune, number 38, and for pile number 3 we have a Japanese deity, Kagutsuchi. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Card number 66, and as I say, of course you can go to more than one reading if you like, but when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, as always I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So you came to the reading with one of the legends. So there's a number of legends in this deck, so Japanese legends, I think. And this is Mengu. I'm actually going to read direct from the book that Anya did with this as a sort of setting for what this legend is and for the general meaning of the card, and then we'll build from there, because I think it's actually puts it together, or she says it very beautifully. So Mengu is the mask of the eternal warrior. It's actually depicted here as a samurai mask. So I think in terms of samurai warriors. It says, suspended between myth and memory, the Mengu stares ahead with an unflinching gaze, its fierce, immovable expression carved from the silence of centuries. So think about will and power and the warrior spirit that lasts eternally, that lasts within, that is a core thing. So for those that have come to this reading, I think this is calling upon and activating that energy within you. She says the Mengu card represents strength, resilience, and the enduring legacy of the past. Like the mask of a samurai, it speaks to the face we present to the world, composed, disciplined, unwavering. You may be called to stand firm in the face of adversity, drawing upon ancestral wisdom and the inner strength forged through trials. This card reminds you that true power lies not only in force, but in clarity of mind and depth of spirit. Yet the Mengu also conceals. It hints at hidden fears, unspoken truths, or emotions buried beneath the surface. Are you wearing a mask to hide your vulnerability? So I think it's a very interesting card to sort of come into this reading, because it says that you are very strong. It says that probably you are known as being very strong, but you may have on occasion, in keeping to what matters to you, the things that you find honourable and important. You may have sometimes had to wear a mask, or you may have felt that you had to show yourself as invulnerable at all times. So maybe one of the messages is going to be where you can be vulnerable, whether it's in love or in friends that can help you or whatever that might be. So we're interesting to see with the Lenormand what the actual sort of fortune energy is around this, to see whether or not this is calling upon your inner internal warrior and the need to be calm and disciplined and strong and go for the long haul on something, or whether it's asking you to take the mask off and be a bit more vulnerable. So let's just get 4 Lenormand cards and see what we can know about the fortune that the Mengu energy is coming out in you at this point, or is calling on an inner Mengu in you. We have the Ring. Now that's interesting. That is often about relationships. So this might be asking you to take off your mask and allow yourself to be not as a warrior and a protector, but also as a lover. Or it could be that you are meant to combine forces with someone else. If it's not actually in love in terms of a ring, it can actually be in terms of some other type of connection. We have the Birds. Much is being said of this. Much is being talked of this. This may be why you feel like you have to wear a mask, that, you know, that this is something that gossip could be around in some way. We have Ronan, which is the man. So this involves a man. If you are male or identify as male, then it's you probably, and it's your energy. And again, this is, again, a samurai sort of thing in that kind of role, but where there is a connection that is maybe much talked about. But it may also be a man that is important. It could be the partner if it is a love relationship. It could be a partner if it's in business. It could also be that there is a man in particular who either lets you know that things are being discussed or is the one that is causing things to be discussed. And we have Tagami, which is the letter. So you are going to hear about this, or you're going to learn more about whatever this is. So I feel as though this character could be you, learning about it, having heard the gossip and then getting the details, knowing who to align with and who not to align with, knowing whether this is a battle or whether it is something that is a collaboration in some way. Or this could be an important person that is bringing information or potentially gossiping, depending upon the situation that we're talking about. But I think this is the giveaway, the ring right at the beginning. I think that there is a need in a situation that is much discussed, much speculated on, for you or another person, depending upon what the Ronin represents here, to communicate and collaborate, and for the mask maybe to come off, because you see this samurai is not wearing a mask. So there's something about this where something has to be more open and more seen and more spoken about. So I think that the message from the Orient here for you is something that maybe you kept hidden because it made you feel vulnerable or because you thought it was very private, is potentially now going to be discussed or needs to be brought out into the world or needs to be progressed in some way in the world. And you can take it as a battle and keep the mask on and be fierce and unwavering, or you can potentially take the mask off and be more vulnerable but more communicative, and it probably depends on the situation. So let's get the tarot and see a little bit more about what fortune here is really being revealed. What are we talking about? Then let's look at how do you best work with that energy for your future, and what could remain hidden or challenging in the situation. So firstly, just a bit more to give us a bit of an idea. Is this you in some form, or someone important to it? Is this a relationship and gossip about a relationship and where it's going and where it becomes a bit of a battle? Or is it, some sort of business deal or something like that you need to be able to manage the PR around it in some way and have the right connections rather than just being embattled at all times. So let's see what the tarot wants to tell us. We have the Eight of Wands reversed. We have the Death card reversed. We have the Five of Swords reversed. We have the Three of Pentacles. And we have the Fool. Okay. I think that this is partly saying that you're at an impasse and a shift or a change has to occur, part one, because I feel like what we're looking at here with the Eight of Wands reversed is something has slowed down, and Death reversed. This is something that you don't really have a choice about. You may have slowed down an inevitable change or shift, but it has to occur. And you have to be, but at the same time, you have to be very strong and unwavering in the core thing that you want. So the Five of Swords reverse is very much the sense of Mengu here. It is the eternal warrior. I do not walk away from the battle. But on the other hand, there has been an impasse. And there needs to be some sort of shift or change. You can't avoid it at all. You don't really have a choice. You're at that point where you have to make, I think, a collaboration or a connection with another person. And this is the part of the new journey for you. And you feel that there's a bit of a risk associated with it. It does make you feel a bit more vulnerable than you are used to. But on the other hand, it starts a new process, and it starts something that could work for you. So whatever the situation is, you have to connect with others and you have to collaborate with others. You can't just be battling this on your own. You can be resolute in what is honourable to you, because I very much think the sort of the Ronin, the concept of the samurai, very much the most loyal and the most resolute and the most honourable sort of like belief structure. So that is there, but there is a move towards another. So it could be a business thing. It's more likely to be a business thing or a friendship and an alliance with the Three of Pentacles and a romance. But given that we have the ring, it probably depends on who's coming to this. But I feel like you are someone who's very strong, being a warrior, being the protector of many, very honourable, but you can't do whatever it is that you need to do now alone. And it's either that, as I say, you're letting love in, and that is a risk because you've been used to being the warrior rather than the lover, or it is that you have to collaborate in some way. So, but I think it is fortunate to do it. It's taking you to a whole new expression of yourself and a whole new level, and you do have the strength to do it. But I think it is asking you to think about taking the mask off where it is appropriate and with the right people. So how do you best work with this fortune? If you're being forced into connecting with others and collaborating when you've maybe been a bit of a lone wolf, how do you work best with this fortune? The Ten of Cups reversed, the Ace of Cups reversed, the Four of Wands, and the Four of Pentacles. Okay. What this has been pretty clear on is I don't think this is about romance. I mean, it could be for some if it is about romance. So just say that first, because I think it's less likely to be than not. But I'll just say because there is the ring and there's sort of like the Ace of Hearts there with the Ronin. So it's a possibility. If it was about love, then this is moving from a being on your own single, loveless sort of situation to being in a family and setting down roots. So even though it's very new, it would be potentially, for some of you, this could be the sign that you've met the one and you're going to have to give up those single days, and you're going to have to believe in love when you possibly didn't. So if you don't believe in love, in fact, the interesting thing is in this energy, unless you've met the person and you're struggling with this already, with this energy, you're the sort of person who's probably thought, oh, I'm not here for relationships and I'm not here for that, or I'm over all that or whatever, because it's sort of like the fortune energy is, first of all, letting go of this sort of sense of that's all suppressed to move towards family connection and settling down in some way. So for some of you, if you were either not into the concept of love or not into the concept of commitment, it's coming. I think it's good, but it's coming. Now, if it's not about romance, and I think for many of you, this is more around a business thing. It's don't be too emotionally stirred by this. It's not something that you need to get emotional about. It's not even something that like is sort of some heart connection. This is more, it will help family and those that you care about, and it will help security and stabilizing things. So the energy of this that is protective, it will work with. It could be that there's something about the alliances that you need to make that will cause gossip and make people think that something's come between you and those you care about. But in actual fact, you're going to be supporting that and protecting it. It just may not be clear to everybody. And if it's around like organizations or whatever, it may be you leaving somewhere that causes a big set of gossip, but you actually are then starting something that's going to be more solid and more able to be harmonious and to be what you want. So there's the elements that are clear about this is a shift from one situation to another that requires you to connect with others and maybe be a bit more visible and vulnerable, that there's likely to be discussion or gossip about it, but that it will head towards the good. It's just a very big shift and you're just going to stay stuck till you do it. Okay, so what could remain hidden or challenging with this sort of fortune energy? 10 of Wands reversed, 5 of Wands reversed, the Wheel of Fortune. So the main challenge may be timing and acting quickly enough, because I actually think this is like you being very resolute and not wanting to change, but you're going to have to. And it will work out for you, Pole 1, if that's any consolation. But you don't want it to be public. You don't want to appear vulnerable. You don't want to have to rely on others, but this is what you're being called to do. And it may be exactly how much time you have to do it remains hidden or remains a bit of a challenge, and you've got to kind of act relatively quickly. The other thing that may remain hidden for a while, I don't think it will remain hidden in the long term, but for a while, the fact that this change when you do it will take such a weight off your shoulders and will take away a lot of petty rubbish that's been around you. One of the reasons that you've been like this, you've been like resolute and the warrior and kind of like I am my own person and I go my own way and I'm a lone wolf, is you're used to having to carry lots of burdens and you're used to a lot of like petty arguments and competition and rubbish. And at the point that this occurs, you making these connections, whether it's a love connection or a collaborative connection or whatever it is, and it is going to bring to a greater sense of stability and security and taking the sting out, taking a lot of the rubbish out, but you won't see it for a while. You've got to give it time. So not only will you not know the timing, like how long you have to make the choice to do this without losing the opportunity, because if you lose the opportunity, you're going to stay stuck. So to move forward, you need to do this. But the other thing is that how long it takes for you to realise the benefits is something that's hidden at this point, but it will be beneficial. So don't be too stubborn, Pole 1. That's really important. Let's get a couple of Chinese fortune reading cards and let's see anything else about the fortune or areas in life. This might help us know a little bit more about whether this is love or work or family or whatever the situation is, or it just might give us some extra information. So let's see what we get there. Celebrations. Like, okay, so this is going to be something to celebrate. Look, for some of you, it will be, like committing and getting married or something like that, or like working into a business celebration, a business collaboration that is celebration. There will be celebrations. It's telling you this is good. I think it's kind of really wanting to emphasize that to you because you're kind of going to be a bit stubborn and think, like this is a risk. And new beginnings. Okay, so it's just saying, look, yeah, it's the Fool, the new beginning energy, and it will be a celebration that brings it about. So I think if you've been determinately single, you're going to meet someone and probably end up getting married or something. If you've had tension around family dynamics, you're going to kind of bring everything out to the surface and bring stability. If it's a work thing, it will be extremely good for you, but you've got to collaborate. But it is going to be good. It's a new beginning that is good. It's just, so you don't have to be this. You don't have to be the eternal warrior. This is what it's saying. It's bringing you into a more peaceful time, which is lovely. But for you, that may be a little bit of a difficult shift. So let's have a look at Chinese astrology. So what we're going to do is I've got a deck that has all the Chinese astrology signs. And I'm just going to draw 2 of those to get some of the energy. This could be, either of them could be your Chinese astrology sign. Otherwise, it just tells us a little bit more about the energy around this. And then I'm going to draw from the same deck 3 other cards that aren't Chinese astrology, but are other sort of oracular or explanatory information that might tell you a little bit more as well. So firstly, we have rat. And secondly, we have horse. So in Chinese astrology, the way that the year of the rat, people of the year of the rat are described as smart, they're quick-witted, very alert, they have the ability to deal with adversity. So you've always had that. And it's an auspicious energy around reproduction, eternal prosperity. So it is going to turn out to be something good, but you are kind of able to deal with adversity, and you've probably done very well doing that. And so this is part of the reason you've got to kind of understand this is a new opportunity to get others to help, to take some of the load off. It doesn't all have to be you, and you can still keep that. The horse energy, vigorous, faithful, majestic, very brave. So again, this is you. I mean, I think these are two aspects of you. And it talks about moving forward courageously, lots of vitality again. I think it's like this is an act of courage. This is a different form of bravery. That's what this is talking about for you. So by embracing your inner rat and your inner horse, it's not actually that much different from what you've done before, but it's allowing yourself to move forward and find a different way for prosperity. So what else can we potentially know about for you in relation to that? Played, independent, laid back, masculine, cozy. Okay, this could be the energy to here. This could be, if this is you, then it's telling you to be a bit more independent, laid back. Well, you are probably independent, but be a little bit more cozy. If it's someone coming into your life, then that may be something to identify them, whether they're a workmate, a business collaborator, a lover, or whatever. Maybe they like to wear plaid. Be a little bit lateral with this information. We also get Sagittarius. You may have Sagittarius strongly in your chart, or it may be about moving on into new things, adventurous, philosophical, brave, honest. It's asking you to be brave in a different way, in a freer way. Sagittarius is all about that. And fire. Okay, pointy features, animated gestures. So this is describing people, this deck, as much as anything else. So it could be describing you. It could be describing the person who comes in, or it could just be the fire of creativity, of something new, of that kind of Ace of Wands energy that moves everything forward. So that could be very important as well. Fire signs are probably very important in traditional or sort of Western astrology. And there's a kind of almost fiery energy to some of the rat and the horse as well, in the way that they're generally described. Okay, so that is basically meant to be the message from the Orient for you, using different Oriental ways of looking at information. But what I want to finish with is a dragon message, because dragons are very powerful beings in all of the various Oriental mythologies. I'm going to draw 3, so I want you to choose a number between 1 and 3. To pause the video if you need to do that, because I'm just about to deal them out, and it's the final message from the Orient to you to let you know that I think that it's really safe to move forward and do something different and connect with others. Yes, there might be talk, and yes, it might seem like you're taking a risk, but it's going to work out. By the way, Sagittarius, rat and horse are all potentially descriptors of someone that you could have a good connection with as well, since there is something about a connection here. So if you chose number 1, you have everything is possible. Yeah, exactly. Everything is possible. Don't limit yourself. If you chose number 2, we have all you desire. So yeah, you can get what you want out of this. And if you chose number 3, no limits. Okay, so for number 1, as I say, everything is possible. The message from the dragons is everything is possible when you trust in your inner strength, which you know, and follow your heart. So it's the heart as well as the inner strength. Don't let past disappointments hold you back. You have the power to create your own life and rediscover your inner freedom. So there's something about a connection with others that makes you feel a bit vulnerable that's actually going to free you. Even if it was something like marriage, it frees you from the burden of carrying everything on your own. So it just depends on what this is. If you chose number 2, all you desire, dance to your own rhythm and follow your heart's call. The magic is within you. Let yourself shine and bring love wherever you go. Everything you dream of is within reach. So again, it doesn't have to be a battle. Take the mask off. You have that strength. That's within you. Now connect with others. And for for number 3, if you chose it, we have no limits. You are the master of your destiny, and the universe supports you on your journey. Let go of fear and be guided by your inner wisdom. You are free to pursue and achieve your dreams. Start today. So the message is pretty much the same across all of them, just slightly different. For one, it is to know that out of this change, everything becomes possible. For number 2, it's to know you can get all you desire and follow your heart, as well as being strong. And for the third, this is actually about seeing there are no limits, not even the limits that you might have put on yourself by thinking you had to do it all yourself. So I hope that that resonates for you. It's actually a very positive message. Hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you can do the reading with Kitsune, which is a Japanese fox, mystical Japanese fox creature. I want to read from the book that Ania actually wrote for this, because I think she sort of describes the card and its meaning very beautifully, and I think it's a good way to sort of like position what it is that we're talking about. So Kitsune, the mystical fox spirit of Japanese tradition, symbolizes adaptability, intelligence, and the art of subtle influence. This card calls attention to the unseen forces at work, those quiet intuitions, clever maneuvers, or hidden truths that shape events behind the scenes. It encourages strategy over force, intellect over impulse, and perception over appearance. Just as the fox slips through the shadows unseen, this card reminds you to stay alert and trust your inner wisdom when navigating complex situations. So I feel that this card in this deck is about you using your strategy, your subtlety, your perceptions, both sort of intellectual and also potentially intuitive. And also to understand both that you can have a bit of a trickster energy, because Kitsune does have a trickster energy, if you need it strategically for a situation, or you may encounter it. So it's important to be aware of both of those aspects, I think, when that card comes up. Let's see with the Lenormand part of this deck, 4 cards to give us a bit of an idea of the fortune, where this kind of subtlety, strategy, influence, mercurial sort of energy, trickster energy if you need it, might arise that you need to deal with, and how you best embody that yourself. So let's see the fortune energy that's involved at the moment. Firstly, we have the key. So this is a key to something. This is to tell you that taking on the characteristics of Kitsune, of looking at perception over force and all of those sort of things, strategy, influence, taking your time, that kind of energy. There is a key. This is to unlock something, to give you a new opportunity, to answer a riddle. Any of those sorts of things is part of this. So that embodying that energy of Kitsune, or calling on Kitsune to help you with this, is key to something that you're trying to achieve. And it's something that is meant to be good for you. It's something that's meant to be flourishing and so forth, because this is like the bouquet. This is a sense that you get a reward. So there's a key, a reward. There are things to be won by this energy, by this subtle, clever energy. And you will actually have strong, it's a big thing to do. The shogun is like the bear. That's how the bear is being portrayed in this particular deck. This is a big issue, something that makes a big difference in your life, but also that has a protective influence for you. But there's a lot of responsibility with it, I think, in the way that the bear is represented here, because of the shogun being the way that it's represented. So you are taking on a responsibility. It's not just about having the key to growth and success and being celebrated, but it's also taking on a responsibility. It would be classic, actually, for moving up the ladder in an organization or a political group or a social group, and having to be more and more subtle because of the level of responsibility and the level of complexity that you are facing. And then we have Ronin. Okay, so this means that a man is important. If you are male or identify with male, then it's you. Or it could be your own masculine energy and so forth, even if you are female or identify as female. But otherwise, there could be a man that's very important. They could be very important and very protective or very helpful. It could also be that this is someone that, in fact, the bear becomes a challenge in a way, like someone, like it's like if you were thinking of the strategic side of Kitsune, like you were sitting down at a chessboard, then you will have an opponent on the chessboard. They don't necessarily have to be bad, but they are formidable. Whatever this is, if that is an opponent, it's formidable. But you have the strength to do that if that is you. Or there could be a very important man that has something to do with you rising up a ladder or having more responsibility, but also more success, and they are key to that in some way. But dealing with this person, you need to be subtle, you need to be strategic, you need to use influence rather than force. Okay, so let's see with tarot. Let's have a look. little bit more about what is being uncovered, what sort of fortune is being shown here. Then we'll have a look at what can you do with this for your best future, and also what could remain hidden or challenging. So firstly, just a little bit more about what's going on here. We have the Seven of Wands reversed. We have the Star, the Eight of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups reversed. Okay. I do think this has something to do with either career or something that you are trying to master in some way. So if it's not career, it could be some sort of spiritual or gamesmanship or something, or social thing that you're trying to master. And you are on the way, but at this point, you're not feeling the courage to hit it head on. And this is saying that's okay, because you are actually on path, and just fighting, just competing is not the best way of doing this. As I say, like, it's more like a chess game. And yes, you can have opponents in a chess game, but it's sort of, it's well structured and it's civilized and it's strategic. This is not required. This is not a thing that requires you to sort of overtly compete. It's more that you need to align with your life path and develop your skills, develop your approach, develop your perceptual abilities, your strategic abilities, your influence abilities. It's not about fighting. It's about that inspirational. In fact, it's about developing inspirational abilities. There is someone, whether it's showing up as the Shogun or as the Ronin, and that would kind of depend on whether this is you or not, whether this represents you and that's the other person, or whether this is you and that represents the other person. But either way, there is someone who you are going to impress, who has a very material impact on your life. And you have to impress them by your strategy, I think, and because it's coming up as Pentacles, the kind of almost the business acumen or the material side of it. And yet on another more subtle level, you have to impress them emotionally, but you can't make that obvious. So this is why we've got this sort of like being subtle and being influential. This person actually will be moved by something that comes from the heart, but it can't be obviously from the heart. So it feels a lot like, impressing somebody within a work organization or a political group or whatever it might be, that you have the direction and the ability to do something, but on a subtle level, you're also appealing to what they believe in and what matters to them, but you can't do it directly. You can neither compete directly nor show your heart directly. This is a very subtle energy. That's where you have the key. So how do you best use this for your future? Three of Swords reversed, the Hermit, and the Four of Cups, the Ace of Cups reversed. Like, again, there's a lot here. There's something about this situation where you can't directly go for the heart, and yet the heart actually has to be what is touched. The heart has to be influenced, but it can't be done directly. There is a kind of a blockage to direct discussion of the heart in this situation, and yet it will be the winning factor, but it have to come at it differently. You've got to like kind of almost stay separate from that, or see this as a spiritual thing. Like, it could be talking about spirituality, values, that kind of thing, and influencing on that level is a way of introducing the heart without it seeming sentimental. There's a pain energy or something that you can heal in this situation, as I say, but you can't do it directly. So I feel like if it was, say it was in some sort of like political group, for instance, there's someone very powerful. They actually once upon a time were incredibly idealistic. They've probably become quite cynical because of all the politics. You've got to get to that core underneath that was idealistic, but you can't do it directly because they're cynical. So you heal it through some sort of spiritual illumination rather than directly. You illuminate the issue and the path rather than try and force it or try and kind of emotionally, trigger it. Allow them to find it and allow them to think, in a sense, they found it themselves. It is subtle. This is no wonder you got Kitsune. You have to work very subtly in this situation. So what could remain hidden or challenging? The Four of Wands, the Four of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. It's interesting. That came up in another reading in that spot. Timing is the thing. Timing is one of the big things around this. And that is a strategic thing. What do you do? There is a point at which whatever it is that you influence and you get the key and you get the rewards and you move up the ladder, you create your own team, you create your own foundation, you create all those things. But the timing of that is not clear, because a lot of this has to do with how you influence and persuade. I think one key person, there may be others associated with this, but if you don't convince this one key person, then it will keep stalling. And as I say, you can't battle them. You have to make them want to give you the opportunity. Then you can create things. So it may be challenging to move from persuasion into building this and getting the timing right, but using that subtle approach is the way to do it. Okay, so let's see with Chinese fortune cards a little bit more about this, like if it tells us anything more about the nature of the fortune that you will achieve, or the areas in life, or anything else it wants to tell us about this. New beginnings. So this is definitely about something new. This is about bringing in a breath of new, fresh air somewhere. The key, unlocking the key, turning the door, moving into something else. It is a change. It is a shift. You haven't started it yet. This is the beginning of a bigger journey. And wow, dragon. Very powerful. And I think there's someone very powerful in this situation who I think you will get on side, but they are very powerful and they could be fierce. They're lucky. It's fortunate. Dragons are fortunate. It's fortunate energy. But, you have to know how to deal with the dragon. You can't, it's pointless to battle with the dragon. If you were like a fox, you're not going to be fighting a dragon. That's silly. And you're not going to want to appear too emotional or whatever when there's a fiery creative energy. You're going to be dealing with it. There's something about an exchange of energy where you deal with that energy at its level rather than in different ways. There's something like that. But this has a lot to do with power in one form or another. So let's see what Chinese zodiac signs might be relevant. Either they could be yours, it could be the other person's, or it could just be qualities and characteristics of this energy that you need to be aware of. So we have the rooster. And we have the rat, the rooster and the rat. So in terms of the rooster, that energy is very strong, very brave, but it can be a bit aggressive. Certainly very progressive, wants to sort of move forward, wants to make itself heard, much as a rooster would within a hen house. It is an auspicious sign of peace and detoxification, if that energy can be managed well. And it can bring family peace, it can bring a harmonious marriage, it can bring all of those things. But I think it's how you modify some of that energy towards peace and towards connection rather than just straight out sort of announcing yourself and being aggressive. So maybe some of the energy of the rat, because the rat is kind of very quick-witted and smart, has an energy very much like Kitsune, and again can deal with adversity, but does it more in terms of bringing in prosperity, showing where there are good outcomes for everybody. So it's a little bit more of a negotiator, where the rooster is a bit more of a look at me energy. So I think there's understanding how to balance those things within your own system. That's what's going to be important to this. So let's just get three other cards from the deck that aren't Chinese astrology that might tell us some other things, either about you, the person you're dealing with, or anything else about the energy of this fortune. So firstly, you have Asia. So there could be, this is an Oriental thing, but there could be something connecting to Asia with all of this, one of those countries. It could be if you want to sort of sit down and talk with this person and bring them on side, they like Asian food and go and do something like that. But there could be, for some of you, a connection to Asia associated with this. Secondly, we have Earth. So this can be a very earthy, Earth signs, be very practical. This person is very practical, coming up as the King of Pentacles. There also may be that you or the person has those sort of characteristics. That might be important, or might identify the power broker that you need to be dealing with. And we also have Oceania, so Australia, Samoa, New Zealand, Fiji, Guam, Vanuatu, Tonga. So there's certainly something in the Southern Hemisphere about this, whether that's got to do with some sort of business connection, socially, politically, whether that's where the person came from, whether it's where you come from. There's something about that side of the world that is important to this in some way. There's also, to me, Oceania feels like water, and that's earth, so it's sort of like the grounding energy and the emotional energy that's important to this. Okay, so lastly, that was just meant to give you some different sort of hints about the energy, a bit like opening fortune cookies and getting sort of like bits of information around this. But I do think the main thing is being subtle and persuasive and careful, dealing with a powerful person. It's a key to great success for you and to moving on and creating your own business, cause, family, whatever it is. But it does require you to understand dealing with power. So you had the dragon come up. I'm actually going to finish with a dragon message for you. So I want you to choose a number between 1 and 3, because whichever number you choose is going to be your message. And pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal out. So for number 1, it's so easy. Okay. For number 2, shoulder to shoulder. Well, that's interesting. Maybe becoming a true partnership with this. And for number 3, in reality, you are free. Okay, so this is interesting. So if you chose number 1, it says, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you can attract everything you desire. Believe in yourself and watch the world harmonize with your inner essence. Have the courage to own your life with pride. So that may be picking up the wrist energy. Don't be aggressive, just be clever and be confident, because you have the beauty and the charisma and the persuasive powers to get what you want and to remain free, even if you are dealing with and collaborating with, or even having a bargain with someone who is powerful. If you chose number 2, shoulder to shoulder, let your wisdom and determination pave the way to a better world. So that's certainly having the key of the Kitsune energy. You are stronger than you think, and your vision has the power to create change. Trust your inner strength and let intuition guide you forward. So this is highly influential, being influential. And I think is a bit of a promise, as I say, that you start off needing to appeal to this more powerful person. In the end, you kind of meet their power. It's a new beginning where you meet their power and you become more like them in terms of influence and so forth. And if you chose number 3, in reality, you are free. You are free to embrace your inner strength and follow your heart. Don't let past disappointments hold you back. You have the power to create and own your own life and inner freedom. Trust yourself despite the pain of the past. So you may have to let go of past things. This might be why you're not feeling courageous. But I also think in a way that's good. I think whatever has happened in the past has taught you to be more subtle and more strategic. And that's going to pay off big dividends in this connection. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3. You came to the Japanese deity Kagutsuchi. As I say, I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing that correctly. Very powerful deity. Kind of a little bit like the Tower card in Tarot, I think, in deity form. But what I want to do is I want to read you from the book that Ania wrote as a guidebook, because I think it's actually a really good introduction to this card and gives us a little bit of positioning for the reading. So she says, the Kagutsuchi card represents raw power, transformation and destruction as a gateway to renewal. Like the fire god himself, which is the god that we're talking about, he's the infernal majesty, in fact. He embodies the paradox of creation through destruction. It speaks to moments in life where something must be burned away in order for something new to take root. When this card appears, it is a sign of intensity, upheaval and opportunity. You can see why I think it's like the Tower. It calls you to act with courage, to embrace your passion, and to stand unafraid in the face of necessary change. But as with fire, this energy must be respected. Kaguchi also warns of volatility, of anger, impulse, and unchecked ambition that can scorch everything in its path. Ask yourself, are you channeling your power toward growth or letting it run wild? The fire within you can illuminate or consume. The choice is yours. So this is going to be an intense reading. Like, let's just presume that. And I think, you had the appetite for it if you came to this. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use the Lenormand. We're going to get a bit of an idea about the fortune energy that is accompanying this fearsome but also incredibly creative energy. So we're going to get 4 Lenormand cards and see what else we can learn. So firstly, we have Tenshu, which is the Tower. So that's funny. That is the energy of stability in actual fact. That's why I'm saying it's funny, because it's almost the opposite. The Tower within Lenormand is kind of the opposite meaning to the Tower in tarot. It's something that's very strong, something that's very secure. So what it is telling us is that either there is something very structured, secure, strong and long-lasting that has to be broken down now. It'll depend on what other cards we get with this. And so it needs this sort of ferocity, because you're talking about an almost calcified, strong citadel that you might get, in a totalitarian sort of government or something like that. Or it's saying that you will be strong in the process of the change. So it's an interesting starting point. Let's see what we get with it. So what goes along with the Tower? We have the Broom. Okay, so things are going to be stirred up. So whether this is you standing strong and being firm and strong with this, you're still coming in with the energy of the Broom. The Broom causes discord, it causes arguments, it causes quarrels, it causes all sorts of issues. It could be that there is some sort of like organization, political group, social group, spiritual group or whatever that is very strong. It's lasted for a long time, but it's full of argument and dissent. Or it could be that you are coming in as a new broom to sweep up something and change it, and you have the strength for it. But there is definitely, you're going to need a little bit of this deity's fire, because there's actually going to be a lot of tension and quarrels around this. We have the Heart, and it matters to your heart. Whatever this is matters to you. And you may be needing to move that, and it may be, but there might also be an issue here that it's some sort of how you deal with arguments and tensions within a love relationship that is strong, but nevertheless is very, very passionate. So that's a possibility as well. And then the 4th card is the Fox. So there's something that is maybe not to be trusted. Okay, so this is quite a complex energy, I have to say. Can you trust your heart? Is there someone? Okay, there's one thing that this could be saying. We'll see what else we get with tarot, but I'm just going to say it's a very specific thing. This could be a situation where a relationship does or does not survive someone else trying to get your partner to cheat or something like that, or you wanting to cheat. So there could be something like that, where who is trustworthy around this, or in some other way within a group that there's lots of politics and lots of discord. Who is trustworthy and who isn't trustworthy is difficult to tell. And you may get to that point where you just have to sweep the whole thing out. But this is why we've got this energy. It's very intense. This is not a low-level thing. It matters a lot to your heart. It's about something that was very solid but is now very contentious, and there is some trust issues associated with it. So, as I say, a bit like the Tower in tarot, it's sort of like something that has to get, the broom has to be there. Things have to be swept out. The truth has to be brought to the surface, but it just sort of depends how it's playing out. So let's see if we can get a little bit more of clarity of that with tarot, with looking a bit more about what this fortune energy is. Then we'll have a look at what is the best way to deal with that energy, and then also what remains hidden or challenging even when you're using it at its best. So a bit more about it. We have the 4 of Wands, the 2 of Swords reversed, the Hanged Man reversed, the Hierophant, the Knight of Wands. Okay. So this could be happening in one or two spots, I think, actually. One is within a family, within a love relationship, within something like that. I'm going to talk about each. The other is within an organisation or some sort of group. If it's family, and like here we've got the 4 of Wands, ostensibly the family is strong, it is ostensibly harmonious, but there's a point where there's a lack of decision, a lack of freedom, or a lack of agreement. And there is a need to look at things differently, but it's very, like the rules within these relationships, or this relationship, if it's a love relationship or whatever, is very set in stone. It's like it's difficult to shift that. There's a lot of beliefs, there's a lot of mythologies almost that are believed within this group. And it's like something does need to move, like somebody needs to move away or move out of it, or that fiery energy starts happening, and it could be a bit reckless. I mean, the Knight of Wands can be a bit reckless. So if this is in a love relationship or a family relationship, some sort of impasse has been met. And it could be that someone breaks away and leaves altogether. So if this was in a family and you are sort of one of the sort of grown-up children or whatever, you may decide you have to leave because you can't, the harmony is almost held together by the illusion of agreement when there actually is an agreement. If this is in a love relationship, there could be something about almost sort of cultural attitudes and so forth that has brought about an impasse. And it's like, do you stay or do you go? And there's a lot of passion here, but it's like, can it be shifted or not? If this is in an organisation, then again, the team appears to be okay, the organisation appears to be okay, but there is a point of great contention where people are not agreeing. And again, there's sort of like, it's almost as though it hits a boiling point, and it just kind of, the debate happens, the fire happens, and people then have to kind of like work out how to deal with that energy. But there is something, I feel as though it's something that's reached a boiling point, to be honest. It feels to me like it's a difference of opinion, a different way of looking at things that has been papered over by convention or beliefs or the mythologies or whatever, and it's going to break through. It's like frustration's going to make it break through. So I guess you have to work out who you can and can't trust in this situation, and what really matters to your heart, and what, how much contention do you want to have, and how much do you just move away. So how do you best work with this energy? Because it's tricky energy. I feel like it's you up against a lot of beliefs, a lot of shared beliefs, but like it's reached an impasse. So how do you work best with this? The Chariot reverse, it's not running away from it. So it's not running away. Knight of Pentacles, but it's also not committing to whatever this is as well. Having your own path and your own sort of intellectual freedom. So you can't run away from this situation, whatever it is, whether it's in workplace, whether it's in a love relationship, whether it's in family, whether it's in a social or political or whatever group. There has been a lot of harmony for a long time, and it's been solid, but it has been at the expense of truth to some degree. And you have reached a point where you have to be truthful, and you have to stay and see it out. You can't just walk away from it. But it's saying that doesn't mean you have to stay loyal to something you've now seen is not right to you. You do have to think about what your path is, and it has to be sort of something that you feel makes sense to you, and that you could articulate in a way that you felt was consistent, because there's something in the situation that doesn't feel consistent. If this is, you found out after you thought everything was fine that someone was cheating on you, then you don't have to run away from it, but you don't have to commit. You just go, now I'll go my own way and I'll be on my own. If you found out, as I say, or if you've started to realise that mythologies in a family or a group or something like that is not telling the truth, is actually holding you back, you could get very angry and very destructive. But it's saying like it's not really, it's more you detach. Detaching would be better. And like if that means that you move away eventually, fine. But it's like when you have a cooler head, like it says, have a cooler head before you do that. So what could remain hidden or challenging? This is a fairly challenging energy, I have to say. What could remain hidden or challenging? The Eight of Wands reverse. Yeah, you may not be able to go away as quickly as you want. This might be the thing. The Fool. Yeah, getting the new beginning might be hard. Knowing when you can make a decision yourself. So I think that there's something about the situation, whether it's a workplace, a love relationship you're in, a family that you're in, a social group, where you have been there for a long time. It's been stable for a very long time, but you're no longer in agreement with it. And you're probably not the only one if it's a group thing. It's a lot of contention. Don't really know who to trust anymore. But for some reason, you can't move away from it immediately. You have to detach from it Eventually you'll be able to, but don't rush. This is not something to rush in and have a big fight. There's a lot of battles going on, and it's messy. It's messy, and you wouldn't know who to trust. It's like, hold back, slow down a bit. Like, don't rush to do anything. You will eventually be able to move on, but right now what is hidden is what the right timing is. So it's sort of like you can't get away from it instantly, but you need to wait till you within yourself cool a head. You know, your cooler head is prevailing, not your angry, destructive, fiery head, so to speak. Because there's something about this where you'll get a better new beginning and a better freedom if you can actually wait it out a little bit. Okay, so let's see with Chinese fortune cards if we can get any sort of sense, any clearer sense on what this is about, or anything else that Spirit wants to tell us. Courage, yeah, it takes courage. It takes courage to deal with this. Courage rather than anger. Courage can sit firm and can wait and can judge the best timing to move forward. But it's like, it's not, anger just lashes out and is a little bit reckless. And the Knight of Wands can be a little bit reckless, so be careful of that, pole 3. And wisdom, yeah, use wisdom and wait till the Queen of Swords, the wisdom energy. That will be more effective for you. Okay, so let's see Chinese astrology. I mean, I usually do Western astrology, but we're just going to do Chinese astrology in this. And we're just going to get a couple of Chinese astrology signs. This could represent 2 aspects of you, or could represent you and others. It could represent others who are involved in this that are causing the tension and the battle. So we'll just see what energies we're talking about firstly. So we have dog, and we have goat. So dog and goat. So both of these in a way are embodying these 2 energies, because the dog and the goat are both about peace. They're both about coming to a better understanding. They're about compassion. They're about wisdom, all of that kind of thing. I think this is what it's asking you to do. It's saying you have the capacity to operate more like the dog and the goat and less like the angry god, so to speak. It doesn't mean that you're in the wrong or anything like that. It actually means a compassionate understanding about what's happened here, rather than going straight for a debate is what is necessary. And your capacity to, as peacefully as possible, find your new pathway, that is one of your best character traits and things that you can use. Otherwise, it could be saying there are some people to actually look for who can help with that in the midst of that, who have that energy. But be a bit careful if someone appears to be like that but actually isn't, with the fox energy there. So there could be those who are claiming compassion and caring, but their actions don't fulfill that. So a lot depends on whether they're aspects of you or whether they're aspects of others around you, and then if it's the latter, whether it's real or not. So just to get a little bit more information in case it sheds some more light, we have orange, sacral, creative, enthusiastic, or sensual. There's something creative, like turn the fiery energy, turn all that kind of wands energy, the fire of the deity or whatever, into something creative. It could also be saying that for some of you this is about a love relationship, and whether there's sexual betrayal potentially. Secondly, we have red, yeah, orange and red, root, passionate, energy, sex, energetic, sexy. So yeah, it's how you use this energy. There's a lot of fiery energy around this. And stripes, attention, caution, rebel, respected. So you may be the rebel. It may bring you respect to do that. You may be around rebellious types. The whole kind of tension might have started with rebellion, and then you've got to work out how to bring peace into it and then move on. I also get, like it's just like a leopard doesn't change its spots, and possibly a tiger doesn't change its stripes. There's sort of something in that as well, or senses of authority in some way. So that is the overall energy that we wanted to be talking about from the Orient messages of fortune. So we know it's a tricky time, but you will be able to get where you need to go. It will just be giving yourself the time and having the courage and the wisdom to wait it out till when you can either speak your truth or be dispassionate enough to just be able to walk away from the situation without having the conflagration become more. So what I want to do is I want to finish with a message from a dragon for you, because dragons are such powerful entities in the Orient, and usually of good fortune. So I want you to choose a number between 1 and 3, because depending upon which number you choose, that will be your particular dragon message. So pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal out. So for number 1, we have the blessing of water. Now that's really interesting with all this fiery energy, like something to cool things down and something to get to the heart, because the heart is what you're trying to protect here. If you chose number 2, the message is your story. And if you chose number 3, the message is full speed ahead. Okay. So for number 1, the blessing of water, it's time to let your emotions flow freely. Don't be ashamed of your sensitivity and tenderness, for these are qualities that can guide you to a meaningful life. Your gentleness is your greatest strength. I think this is pointing to you being very much like the dog and the goat. Your heart is probably the key to resolving this issue. And it's what makes you pure, and it's what makes you influential, because you're coming from a very real place. But not everybody in this situation is, so do protect your heart as well. If you chose number 2, your story, believe in yourself and trust in your own strength. Let nothing stand in the way of realizing your true potential. You are the source of your own power and happiness. Be brave and follow your dreams. So know that in the end you'll be able to do this. Have the strength to do it, and don't let anybody else tell you what to do. Like, don't fall back into the mythology because it's hard to have the battle. You can create something better for yourself. And if you chose number 3, full speed ahead, fly towards your dreams with your heart as your compass. Let the wings of your love carry you over any obstacle. You have the power to create your own adventure, and it starts with the first step today. So of all of the people who've come to this, those who chose number 3 can probably start to move away from this quicker than the others, because you maybe have a better idea of what you want and what freedom represents. For the rest, you need to go through the process of detaching from what I think are false beliefs, false connections, mythologies around the group and all that kind of thing. So be gentle with yourself. But for all of them, the message is you can move away from this. It's just a matter of timing and knowing that it's going to work for you rather than burn you out. So I hope that that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.